now
No,
political...
I'm trying to like make a forecast what is waiting for Ukraine after we will win.
That is depend on the country. I mean, you have a Russian population in Ukraine, so you need to
We
decide
don't
what
have
to do.
Russian population in Ukraine. Don't tell this, please.
How they call themselves Russian?
Do not live there.
I know, but actually
Everybody who wants to be in Russia already escaped there. All the people left in Ukraine, they're Ukrainians. But Russia makes them to do Russian passport. They don't want to do this, but they're not able to.
I don't want to actually argue with anything, but I have a situation in my country, people who are different ethnicity living in my
You
country.
don't want what is the entity in Ukraine and to give them the wrong information to the people.
Can I ask you a question? Is Ukraine a democratic country?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
For them, it doesn't depend on the language. It depends on the country they are living.
Of course, but
It's not about.
I just say they are Ukrainian citizens. I didn't say that they are Russian. They are Ukrainian citizens.
It's not about identity. This war is Putin's imperialism.
I really, of course, I don't want to enter go into politics, but actually, we have a different definition about the actual. Most or Chupria. Kriva, it's a literal translation, curved or crooked branch. Only survivor of the last totally destroyed. 96 wars finished. So there's a fast and very poor reparation of the bridge. That is resulting actually to be catastrophic in the winter of the 2000, when this small, now non-existing river, almost after 2 months of the raining, becoming this. The first impressions are the best. Front of you, it's a reconstruction from the 2002, like in previous condition from before the war. Reason for that, tap water. So whenever you see a tap, you can refresh yourself and keep it going for a couple of seconds. It will become even colder. So if not, nice beautiful jump in the river. So guys, welcome to one of the most visited sites of this town. Complex of the old bridge. Bridge built on the place of the wooden bridge that I mentioned before. 2 towers. Helebia on this side of the river, Tara on the other side of the river. Bridge is 8 years long construction, finished in the 1566. 29-meter long, 4.5-meter wide. Arch, one of the biggest arches in Ottoman Empire during that period. 31.5-meter. Height of the bridge, if somebody is interested in jumping, is about 23 meters. Architect of the bridge name is Hayrudin. Hayrudin is the young architect and best apprentice of one of the most famous Ottoman architects ever. His name is Mimar Sinan. Sinan, as the architect, is responsible for building the more than 400 different architectural beauties around the Ottoman Empire. And actually in this country we have 3 official UNESCO sites. 2 of those sites is his architecture, one directly his construction, and a second one construction of his best apprentice. He giving him the actually kind of ticket to get inside of the close circle of the Ottoman architects during that period. So architects started construction of the bridge by removing the old wooden bridge, reinforcing the side walls of the river, and after that point actually they bringing the height of the new bridge about 4 meters higher than the previous one. Reason? Tide of the river. Even now this river is very controllable by the dams and artificial lakes, but in my lifetime I saw this river, the flood that restaurant, at least 6 times. It will be a little bit higher than today, so let's try with a picture. There you go. It's easier to jump. Much easier, a little bit more of the swimming, but it's easier to jump. A little bit higher than today. So that is the reason of the arch. That is actually why the architect used the arch, and that is why they think that small one is a model for the big one. They have the same architecture, but also small result of all that. You can see it in this picture. There's a gap who actually part of the bridge the missing. To connect those two parts of the bridge, who will destroy it, is necessary 6 nights for the military engineers of the army. Reconstruct. River is allowed to be swim, but it's actually beautifully dangerous. No romantic spots on the river as a first. As a second, you go swim where you see locals swim. Bridge keepers. So those guys are not actually government. Actually, those guys are not soldiers, but actually now they are responsible for everything that is happening with the bridge. Safety, security, most of the time on the bridge, and showing that particular condition of the jumping. She can do work. Why not?
Or maybe she can try the next one. Ah, this one.
That is enterprise.
You look a bit like a
Without too much drugging, it's just Kuyunjia is one of the guys who's sitting, both of them who's sitting outside. Actually, they're doing this on these tables, using these tools, hammer and the chisels of different kinds. So you are now in one of the best shops in this region, if it's not in this country, represented the UNESCO's book of the handcrafting heritage of this region, and their work is on the front picture of that. Practically what is here is also historically very correct designs taken from the tombstones, easily found in this region from the 5th to 11th century with the name Stager. Third UNESCO sites in this particular country, city called Stolac, necropolis called Radimlja. What you see here is firstly carbon sheet copy on the metal and start the pounding. Plate like this with a design, it's a 1 day of the work, and you have works like those over there, like this one here, month and a half, 2 months, more than 1.5 million strokes to do that. So what is, that is as the owner of this company, I decided only to promote copper, not this shop, not the shop that we pass, not the shop that we're going to encounter. I cannot tell you where and how to spend your money. That is totally yours. But I can ask you to go inside the shops and see people doing something. Hands, tools. If you don't see the tables, actually they cannot bring you to the place where this has been made. If you overlaying in Istanbul, you can find it at half price. It's mostly other stuff. It's mostly produced in China, Turkey. So whatever you're looking at the budget, there's everything. You don't need to take a plates, earrings, bracelets and stuff. Take a pictures, actually make it on your social media, promoted it. It's very important because it's a dying technique. Not much of young people want to sit down and actually pound for the mouses for something like this. So any kind of the promotion, it's very important for them. So that is totally up to you. If you don't have budgeted for anything like that, pictures, videos, talk to the people, present them around the world, and that is more than enough to keep something like this. Okay? Do you have any questions? Nothing? Let's go on site. Let's go to our next stop. It's a nice spot to see. We'll find another spot later. We'll actually be more appreciated by the lake.
Oh, really? I'm not very sure if we can find a cold place here.
Always cold places.
Sorry? Where are you from?
Shop is the fifth generation and do all this jewelry behind that particular table over there. So it doesn't need to be a huge plate. Piece of earring, bracelets and stuff. It's handmade in this town. You're bringing home a piece of the history behind you, not just only a piece of it. Okay? Let's go inside the small.
Hello.
Please told people do not hit that green bar around. Happens so that is this particular complex. It's a local person and very long administrative service for one of the Grand Viziers. Grand Vizier is the senator of the Bosnia and Herzegovina during that period. And as important service when he finished it, he was accordingly rewarded with money and of course with a title. So which means actually the name of the complex. Different colorations of it. Brass, copper, tin. When you have the tin ones, you can buy the tin ones, but you always, that is the whole completely tin. We go for decorative. Traditionally go for copper, tin inside, and you see the handle. So whenever you go on that shop and you hear that, that is the actual simply. No, it was not nice last year. Last week, I have a small tour with the 26 kids. Oh. Everybody was there. That was ruining day for everybody. Feel and feel. But usually the people start, I somebody's kid too. No, kids is 14. please.
A friend of us who visited this town before said
Just relax yourselves. So guys, shade, and we walked on a little different road, and by walking through the old town to here, you see different architecture. So we're going to talk about the second expansion of the city, which is happening at the end of the 19th century, and that is the Austro-Hungarian period. End of the 19th century, Ottoman Empire becoming very weak. That is resulting with losing different wars, and one of those is the Great War with Russia. At that point, there is a Berlin Peace Agreement in 1878. At that point, Ottoman Empire abandoning this area, and it's given to militarily control by the great forces of Europe to the Austro-Hungarian monarchy to control for the next 30 years until 1908, when practically Austro-Hungarian monarchy annexing Bosnia-Herzegovina as a part of the country, until 1918, when end of the First World War. Versailles Peace Agreement, Austro-Hungarian monarchy as a country do not exist anymore. So those 40 years in this town resulting to be a different expansion. A little bit more different society coming, a little bit more modern, different architecture. By walking towards the north of the city, you will see different architecture than in Old Town. Not only that, as a little bit more modern society, they're improving most of the infrastructure existing, building 3 more bridges in the city. At that point, all bridge remaining only pedonal, walkable bridge. Soon after that, they connecting Mostar and Sarajevo with the railroad connection, and after that, Mostar and Sikos. Different restaurants, hotels, swimming pool, public baths. So expansion during that period of the Mostar seems to be bigger than expected, and actually population, rural places coming to work, and some of them remaining to live. So a number of the population in the city is changed from 9,800 to almost 18,000. So kind of doubled. Everything going pretty well, but we know mostly of the actually conquerors coming in different other countries to conquer, try to change what they conquer. Actually changing of the Bosnia-Herzegovina, starting with a kind of using different language as the official. After 400 years talking local and Turkish, now people need to study a little bit of the German. It's a German talking part of the Austro-Hungarian government. Later, new rules, regulations being changed, so people start to be a little bit more unsatisfied with the new government. So in Bosnia-Herzegovina, there's a rising of different national movements in kind of 2 directions. We have intellectuals, poets, people who actually, through their work, writing, saving everything what is locally savable as identity, culture, language. And on the other side, we have more extreme movement, those who don't even like the presence of the Austro-Hungarian monarchy in this country. So practically until 1940, when one of the most extreme, worldwide famous actually in this country, with the name Black Hand, and his member of it, Gavrilo Princip, making assassination of Archduke Ferdinand in 1914 in Sarajevo, and that is how the First World War starts. We always start something. Mostar was a very small town, not particularly problems in it, and that is the reason why for the local historians, the Austro-Hungarian period, even despite all problems, is still considered as one of the best expansion period of this town. Not the best one. The best one starting after the Second World War in a country called Yugoslavia. That will be our next stop. And I actually start to try to complicate the stuff for you in this tour. We're going to stop very soon here. I will give you a small rough introduction in that part of the tour, and we're going to sit down later where you're going to try to enjoy your complications. Okay? Do you have any questions? Nothing? Let's walk. Original cemeteries in this country are always outside of the city limits of city centers. But unfortunately, siege of the Mostar, which means closure of the 4 sides, do not permitting the people to do that in open plain sight, especially during the day. You can be easily seen and killed. Mass gatherings are forbidden. More than 3 people together during the day, no. 1 grenade falling down here, they will kill us all. So that is the reason why 4 or 5 parts in this town actually becoming cemeteries for more than 2,700 people being killed in the duration of war in the city. Not just in the city, every city that they're going to visit, and once in the siege, you can find similar situation. So walking around the Sarajevo, in the center of the town, you can see the park with the 5 to 10 fresh graves, 92 to 95. That is particular reason why. We do not bury the people in towns. It was just necessity for the actual duration of the last war. And as another question for you, how many of the burial processes in your lifetime you attended during the night? None. It's forbidden by most of religions, entering in the cemetery and doing the burial process during the night. All these people have been buried during the night. They in Mostar for 4 months and 22 days is not for walking during the day. So these cemeteries, not just in this city, in every one that you're going to visit, are against any kind of the rules and regulations, which mean no civil rules, no religious rules nor any kind of the human rules. People, bless you. Practically, these cemeteries in these countries usually are divided. Every religion, ethnicity have their own piece of the holy land. These cemeteries are mixed. Most of the people about who are talking, and probably you read a lot of about coming in this country, in the city, so it depends actually where you're reading about it, you can find very bad information about this country and the city. As a first, generally people dividing the population in only 3 different ethnicities, which are Bosnians, Croats and Serbs, and the war is all about that. We have 27 minorities living in this country. Roma, Gypsy population, Jewish population, Albanians, Bulgarians. What about the mixed marriages? Bosnian Croat, Croat Serb, Serb Bosnian. What about the socialists, communists, people who are atheists? Nobody actually counting on those people, which means that the siege of the Mostar during that period of the war was not being made for one ethnicity only. And these cemeteries are multinational, not just one ethnicity and one religion. 60% of the population in these cemeteries are Bosnian Muslim culturally. Other ones are actually Serb Orthodox, mixed marriages, Croat population. Everybody is mixed. It is complexity of the second part of the tour, and we're going to talk about much about that. You read about it probably by coming here, so you will have probably a lot of questions. So let's go to our next stop, where you're going to sit down, and I'll try to actually complicating your staying in this country with some of the complications of that first Yugoslavia, and after that war in the post-war situation. Do you have any questions, guys?
Is there a reason why people are especially young around here?
And because the bombarding doesn't choose who killed.
Yeah.
People waiting as a brother and sister waiting to pick it up the water, and grenade kills 16 people because they're waiting for the water and that they are easy target. So dependable actually that the grenade fall in your apartment actually kill these all the people who are having that symbol as a fleur-de-lis on the tombstones. Those are military soldiers. Other ones are civilians. When you see the fleur-de-lis, because of that, this is the official flag of the independence of the Bosnia and Herzegovina and war flag of the army of the Bosnia and Herzegovina, not Bosnia. Something as a Bosnian army never existed. Official name of the army is the Army of the Republic of the Bosnia and Herzegovina. Official army of the independence of this country, and as such is multinational. So saying Bosnian army are placing just one ethnicity in the army, and that is creating a civil war in this country, which never was. That is also a complication that I'm going to try to explain, especially if the people was in Sarajevo coming here. Whatever you heard in Sarajevo, totally forget about it. It's not similar to here in any way. Okay? Any questions, other? Let's try to find our shade, and we're going to sit down. You can enjoy the shade and sit down. There is a walking tour, but so find yourself safe, make yourself comfortable. Can we all fit? If not, I'll move down. Guys, if you want it, there's a spot here in front of us. I can still go down. Can you fit over there? If not, guys, come on in down. And later, that same country will bring us to eventually the war. Can you hear me? Up, everything okay? If you don't, I have a microphone and speaker. I don't like to hear myself in the speaker, but actually, still, if you don't hear me, I'm going to use it. Yugoslavian period for Mostar, it is after the Second World War. Mostar during the Second World War was conquered by the Italians and Germans for about 4.5 years. Same fate like most of the cities around the Europe during that period. Official liberation of the Mostar finishing on the 14th February of the 1945 by Tito's partisan and Yugoslav liberation forces. Soon after that, as a part of the Yugoslavia, as a new country in Europe, Mostar starting with the reconstruction, which is needed about 7 years to becoming operational town. Soon after that, in a local and a state government using everything to expand the city using all local resources. So industries who existed before the war in Mostar have been opened mostly during that period. tobacco industries improved. Actually, a couple of big wineries, industries of the natural juices and minerals, textile industries, electronics. Textile industries are actually been in two different places, but actually they are today joining in one of the biggest textile factories in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Soon after that, military branch of the government opening the industries of the military helicopters, aeroplanes, having aluminum as the primary. Actually, very close to Mostar, there is the finding of the bauxite, which is the primary for making aluminum. So before the actually in 1970s, there's the opening of one of the biggest aluminum factories in Yugoslavia, becoming third biggest in Europe during the 80s. So Mostar during that period, in 50s, 70s, actually industrially growing up, which means in the same way they need to grow up architecturally. Which meaning wherever you are going now, you can see mostly Ottoman or the Austro-Hungarian kind of architecture, but more towards the west of the town you go, you will notice this. About 1.5 kilometers from here, going west, you start to see socialist, communist kind of the architecture. Big buildings, multiple apartments, people coming in a town to live in, most of them remaining to actually for most of duration of their life. That is happening during the country called Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia established in 29 November 1943, divided into 48 years, divided into 6 republics and 2 autonomous regions. I'll show you the map and I'll send it to you one by one to see it, and then I'll come to pick it up the tablet later. Practically the republics are 6 thick red lines: Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, Macedonia and Serbia. Internal borders of the Serbia as a republic having 2 dotted areas. One in the north is Vojvodina, one on the south is called Kosovo. They have autonomous region, self-government. First president and lifetime president of Yugoslavia becoming leader of resistance, Josip Broz Tito, famously called Marshal Tito, chosen by population after being leader of resistance during the Second World War, after the war to become lifetime president. Take a look and send it up to people. Thank you very much. Actually, one of the major principles of the living in Yugoslavia and almost whole existence of that country, it was based on something called unity, equality and brotherhood. Simple principle was saying that everybody is equal, nobody more or less important. That is the everyday living in Yugoslavia. Actually, all the war things in the Second World War, people actually in the beginning of the Second World War start the bond under the command of the Tito, and that is the end of the war, making Yugoslavia with the Greece only 2 countries who actually been liberated with their own liberation forces. About 90% of the country without any particular help of the Eastern Allies or the Western Allies. That is the reason why Yugoslavia, as a socialist country after the Second World War, in a Cold War race, never been part of the Eastern Bloc, never been part of the Western Bloc. Always neutral militarily in Europe, as a Switzerland. Same particular principle, it's everyday living in Yugoslavia. The reason why Serbia having those 2 dotted areas, it's very simple. It's bigger as a surface than the other republics. So we're leading on those 2 territories, Republic of Serbia shrinking up and becoming equal of the other ones. Did you ever ask yourself why the Bosnia and Herzegovina have that small piece of the Adriatic Sea? Constitution. That is the same reason why Slovenia have one. If you take a look on the map, all 4 republics facing Adriatic Sea, having direct exit on the Adriatic Sea from their own territories. Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Montenegro. All 4. Sorry guys, I need some water. It doesn't flow particularly well. I don't know what's happening. But actually, Yugoslavia as such, and with that particular principle becoming for the Forbes magazine mid-60s to mid-70s, one of the highest rising economy in whole Europe, mid-60s to mid-70s, Forbes magazine placing Yugoslavia as the richest countries in Europe. Unemployment rate for Yugoslavia for Mostar for more than 20 years was passing 6.2%. Everybody had right to work in Yugoslavia, who work a 1 month guaranteed vacation every year. Health is free, education is free. Somebody already connecting that with the communism. Yugoslavia never was a communist country. Socialist. Tito in 1948 breaking up Stalin and creating his own socialism. As a system, it is communist, but much later than most of the communist countries. Proof. Traveling. North Korea, China, Russia, all the other communist countries do not letting their people during that period to travel and go back freely in the country. From Yugoslavia, in 14 years, 126 countries without any particular reason. One of the strongest passports in the world. But living in Yugoslavia, it was living in another communist country for one particular reason. No democracy. So you could not talk against the government. That is what is making it regime. But you had a choice. You didn't know, needed to live in Yugoslavia if you didn't like the system. 10 days waiting for the passport, you sell your properties, take your family, your money, and you go live around the world wherever you want. Nobody will actually stop you on the border. Which means the people who remain to live in that country remain because they wanted to live. And again, I don't like to talk much about Yugoslavia more than necessary. That is my ideology. I am a socialist communist. The thing is, it's easier for you traveling, just talk to the populations, a little bit older one, people who lived in that system, and people now living in this system. Ask them what is better, before or now. Not democracy or regime. Ask them about overall system, unemployment, inflation, corruption, nepotism, social services. 4 or 5 people, including me, in this town will probably tell you to go back to Yugoslavia. To make me wrong, I just mentioned that is my ideology. This is my country. I gave to this country 974 days as a soldier in last war, volunteered with 17 in this town, so I can proudly say this is my country. But my country now in this system, first spot in Europe, just one thing, the most corrupt country, not said by me, said by Transparency International. I had a discussion with a Bulgarian couple 3 days ago on these steps. They say that they are number one. No. It's ours, this city. Ridiculously sad, but it's true. Second poorest country in Europe. Unemployment rate in my town right now in this system is 39%. Average paycheck in the country, 580 marks. That is 290 euros. Quick stop in a grocery store so you can see how it's possible to live it. But guys, we have democracy. If you don't like the system, you can always slur on the government, whatever you want. You will not finish in jail. It's not because of it's democracy. How it's implemented in this country, nobody expected to be like this. That is the problem. That is creating actually post-war situation, making it even more difficult than actually supposed to be. But democracy in the 90s for the Bosnia and Herzegovina is very necessary for a very simple thing. Plan of the Slobodan Milošević for the great Serbia. 80s to 90s for Yugoslavia start to be very problematic. End of the 70s, Yugoslavia as a country is being caught in petroleum economical crisis around the world. And in 1980, Tito dies. At that point, huge problem for Yugoslavia. Thank you very much. I'm sorry.
Can you speak just a bit louder?
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to move myself here and you can all hear me. So practically what is happening in the 80s, Tito dies as a president. That is actually making situation in Yugoslavia politically a little bit more unstable. Working on the actual political scene, the actual economical crisis taking a huge flame in Yugoslavia, and that is making Yugoslav economical system almost failing apart. Everything is wrong in 1987, and it's the peak of the economical crisis. Having the passports, people actually leaving, whoever had a family and friends in different countries as Switzerland, Austria, Germany, other Scandinavian countries, slowly leaving, and that is the reason why even now in some countries as Switzerland, Austria, Germany, you can find people from the area of Yugoslavia who actually arrived over there 1987 to the 1989 before the last war. 1989 it's actually collapse of everything in Yugoslavia. That is the year of the starting of the nationalism in Yugoslavia. As the problems in Yugoslavia because of the economical crisis and rising of the tensions is actually given by the people in the economical crisis in Yugoslavia don't live in equally. Republics who have been based on the industries slowly falling apart, but those who actually have a lot of tourism as a Croatia, more than 1,000 kilometers of the sea coast, living differently than most of the republics. So that is creating a situation in Yugoslavia who is not supportable anymore. There is no equality between people, and that is the problem. That is actually when the 1989, it's starting one of the first tension situations in Yugoslavia after Tito. Nationalism, which is happening on the autonomous region of Kosovo. Kosovo is the smallest area in Yugoslavia. It's populated in 1989 by 85% of Albanians and about 15% of the Serb population. Albanian population majority asking more help of the federal government. That is not coming, and they starting the rising of idea of the separatism from Yugoslavia to become part of the motherland, which is Albania. that cannot happening. That is the Yugoslav territory. So somebody need to fix that situation. Fixer of that situation is the wrong person. His name is Slobodan Milosevic, famously known to be a war criminal. Practically Milosevic is the second main charge in one of the republics, which is Serbia. Capable politician, socialist, communist, but under all that, he's also a Serb nationalist, having his idea of the Great Serbia, something that's supposed to replace Yugoslavia in original borders. But in Yugoslavia, that dream is a just dream. He's seeing Kosovo fit for starting his dream. Why Kosovo? Kosovo is the smallest region hit by the economical crisis, the most tensions already on Kosovo, but Kosovo for Yugoslavia is the only territory. Kosovo for Serbia is something different. Like most of the people don't know, Kosovo for Serbia is a holy ground, holy land, heart of Serbia. Everything what is important about Serbian Orthodox religion and identity starting on Kosovo. After Kosovo battle in 1389 against the Ottoman Empire. Even now major churches and monasteries for the Serbian Orthodox Church you can find on Kosovo. That is the reason why even now Serbia and Kosovo are having so much tensions about that piece of the actually historically important for Serbia. So for Milosevic it's even more important. Very simple. Whatever he wanted to do it, he can do it on that particular area. And the tensions are already started, so he can introduce his constitutional right to control that by sending the police and military to control the situation in Kosovo. But at the same time, he is negotiating with the Serb nationalists in Kosovo to rise the level of the tensions in Kosovo, so he can actually say that he leaving the police and military in Kosovo to protect 15% of the Serb population on a holy ground of Kosovo, and that Serbs, not in Yugoslavia, not only in Kosovo, but in whole Yugoslavia, are more important population. Nobody can mess with them. Saying that on national television, that is a problem. Actually, Communist Party of Yugoslavia starting to work out something as a solution, but it's not working. Slovenia and Croatia leading the extraordinary Congress of the Communist Party, and that gave the position to this Milosevic to putting his men in a Montenegro and the Vojvodina, and he controlling half of Yugoslavia with the majority of the Serb population. Other four republics, seeing what is happening, wanted to leave Yugoslavia. Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Macedonia. They're doing that by very simple process. Changing the constitution as a republic from the socialist into democratic, and with majority of the population leaving Yugoslavia. Slovenia, Croatia, and Macedonia in 1991, Bosnia and Herzegovina in 1992. But during the separation of those four republics, just two finished with a war, which are Bosnia and Herzegovina and Croatia. Slovenia and Macedonia, no. Why? For the same process, two yes, two no of the republics had war. Any guesses? I'll send you the map so you can understand what I'm talking about. Map that I'm sending you is a demographic picture of Yugoslavia in 1990s. If you take a look on the side, you can pass this. When you take a look on the side of the Slovenia, you will find one color on 96.4% population in Slovenia are Slovenians. No Serb population. Democratically or violently take over that country. But going forward, you will see on the side, blue color actually representing Serb population. In Macedonia, it's a very small percentage, but Bosnia and Herzegovina and Croatia having a lot of blue. Bosnia and Herzegovina, on the first census in 1991 for democratic elections, have a 33% of the Serb population. Only population year later boycotting referendum for independence in this particular country. Other 67% of the population voting, and that is democracy. In democratic system, 67 is majority. So decision on the 1st March that Bosnia and Herzegovina is independent. And actually, as a sovereign country, wanted to join the UN. That is happening 26 days later. So at that point, Bosnia and Herzegovina becoming independent, sovereign country, part of the UN, and that is for Yugoslavia a problem. Fourth republic left Yugoslavia, resourceful, and what they wanted to do, like previously in Croatia, they can use the Bosnian Serb population internally to start the war. First in Eastern Bosnia, Sarajevo, and then major cities around this country. So coming to the war, there's actually a lot of stories about the war in Bosnia and Herzegovina, different sources that you read, documentaries and stuff. So as the actually 65% of the population in my tour going as the first definition of the war in Bosnia and Herzegovina as a religious war. Never was. ethnic, nationalist, yes. Religious, never. It is common that 3 ethnicities in this country having 3 different religions, but just one, it's used to create a religious war. 8 years, 4.5 of the war, 3.5 after, and you can control that on the YouTube, whatever you want. Majorly, mainstream media around the world calling the population of this country Serbs, Croats, and Muslims. Why using 2 ethnicities and 1 religion? Those 2 other ethnicities having their religion too, Orthodox and Catholics and Muslim. Why don't mix all of them in the religious war? As a 30% of the definition is for the civil war. Bosnia and Herzegovina never had a civil war. But happening now in Russia and with Russia and Ukraine is the same thing what happened with the Yugoslavia and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Most of the people saying yes, Serbia attacked. No, Serbia never attacked the Bosnia and Herzegovina.
It's not true. I'm from Ukraine. You are telling not true. It's not the civil war. Russia want to.
Of course, it's the same. Of course, the same here reality. Yugoslavia.
We want to have all the Ukraine. It's not about civil war. It's about Putin's imperialism.
But actually the same here is actually happening here. Most of the people are saying that Serbia and Serbs attacked the actually Bosnia and Herzegovina, but that's not true. Yugoslavia attacked the Bosnia and Herzegovina. Yugoslavia is a country existing in 2006. Montenegro and Serbia creating Yugoslavia until 2006. Montenegro asking for independence, and there is no more Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia is the name of the country, but the population is majority Serbs. So Serbs from Yugoslavia using the Serbs in Bosnia and Herzegovina to start the war. After that, Croatia from actually armies using the Bosnian Croats to start the war. Both armies, Yugoslav and the Croatian, are bound in southern territories.
It's not Ukraine who started the war.
Sorry?
It's not Ukraine who started the war.
I didn't say that actually. I was just saying that actually if you're calling that civil war over there, it's a civil war over here. So with that I already explained that it's not a civil war. If you're calling the civil war in Ukraine, you needed to call it in here, but it's not true. It is aggression using the actually other population in other countries to start the war. It's very simple. Tomorrow you can have that in, I don't know, France and Spain. You have a vast population in both countries. One country attack another one using the different population. The same thing happened in the actually Bosnia and Herzegovina. 2 countries using their own population in our countries to start the war. And that is the reason why international community and international court in Hague prosecuting both of the countries for the aggression on the Bosnia and Herzegovina, and from 2006 changing definition officially from the civil war into the aggression. And as a third thing, in this country, wherever you're going to go, you will have different narrative about war. Very simple, dependable of the percentage of the population living in those areas. So I don't know if somebody was in Sarajevo before here. I will need the help for you, actually, just to take a tablet and... So if you've been in Sarajevo, majority population in Sarajevo result to be Serbs and Bosnians. Very small percentage of the Croat population, which means the war in Sarajevo and surroundings have been made in 2 armies, Serb, Yugoslav army, and inside of the town, army of the Republic of the Bosnia and Herzegovina as official army of this country. Mostar have a different demographic picture. 38% of the Bosnian population, 33% of the Croat population, and Serb population in minority, 19%. But still held by the Yugoslav army to start the war in this area. Starting the actually on the 8th April, 2 days after Sarajevo, most of the hills in this town have been taken over, except the hill in front of us and a hill on the side. Practically what is happening, without completing the siege, Serb and Yugoslav army taking all east bank of the river Neretva, in and outside to the town. Next move, destroying strategically every bridge connecting 2 sides to the river. Every bridge which is possible, with armor car, tanks and trucks is being completely demolished. Each one of them except the old bridge. So which means war starts, while the Serb and Yugoslav army do not control. As you understand in Sarajevo, generally they start to bombard. But in the opposite of the situation, Sarajevo must have a Croat population who is in a huge percentage. In every territory in Bosnia and Herzegovina, when Croats are in huge percentage, they organize themselves in their own army with name Hrvatsko Vijeće Odbrane, or Croatian Council of Defense, with a shortcut HVO. In this town, those 2 armies, Army of the Bosnia and Herzegovina and a Croatian Council of Defense, fighting Serbs for about 4 months. Together, planning the operation and that operation is finishing with the Serb and Yugoslav army in the mid of August. It's 30 kilometers outside of this town, and that's it. War is finished in Mostar. Rest of the country is in war. Mostar in mid of August 1992. No Serb Yugoslav army in the town. There is nobody around the town. Peace. People start to live normally, as much as normally can be. After 4 months of the bombarding, that normal time in this city is about 7 months, which meaning mid of April 1993 in the Mostar and the whole country of the Bosnia and Herzegovina, there's tensions again. But now in between two previous partners in war, Army of the Bosnia and Herzegovina and a Croatian Council Offensive. Nobody can understand why, fighting against the Serbs together, now turning against each other. We needed about 10 years an explanation of the Milosevic in International Court in Hague. 1991 and 1992, two secret agreements in between him as the President of Yugoslavia and President Tudjman of the Croatia about the division of the Bosnia and Herzegovina. But everything is red, and the Bosnia and Herzegovina is kind of bribing Milosevic by the Tudjman. He wanted to free his own country, so at that point, Milosevic getting half of the Bosnia and Herzegovina, he retreating his army from the Croatia into Bosnia and Herzegovina. Croatia is free, and Tudjman as a hero, he will also get blue territories in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Question is, what be the other ethnicities in this particular country? Not only Bosnian population, minorities, mixed marriages, Serbs and Croats who are not for this division. They're going into the two green areas around the city of Sarajevo and around the city of Bihać. Without any possibility to exterminate them all, they're doing that in that plan. Everything is red and blue in surrounding of the green areas. By this plan, your presence now, it's where my finger is, on this blue red line. And that blue red line, actually, it is the natural border. The river, 177 kilometers of the river Neretva, from the source to the Adriatic Sea, supposed to be divided in two. You are sitting in actually kind of Serbia, and by going on the other side, you're going to Croatia. But that plan in this town fails. 9 May, very particular date. Victory against the fascism in the world, end of the Second World War. Local Croats held by the Croatian army attacking their previous partner in war in this town, and second longest and the bloodiest conflict starts. Actually, mostly all the people are a little bit confused, especially coming from Sarajevo, hearing the different story. That is also a thing. A lot of this area is very confusing. So 90% of the actually people, as a guest in my tour, actually going to actually be the same definition about this city right now. Division on the river, but now on the east bank of the river, Bosnian Muslims, on the west side of the river, Catholics, Croats. So whoever read in a book about that, and in just this definition, take that book and throw it in the trash. You wasted your money on it. That was never true. That division has been made by the international community after the construction of the old bridge in 2004, saying publicly to the world, two ethnicities in the town of Mostar, after very bloody war, making peace over new rebuild the bridge. Beautiful thing, but also wrong. Mostar was divided during the whole duration of war. This town is still divided in the moment we're talking about it in different ways, but not on this river. We have 4 minutes walking. We're going directly to the front line, which is a street with the name Boulevard, about 3 minutes walking from here, where I'm going to explain you everything what is happening in those 14 months in this town as a worst period for the city in almost whole existence of this town. Being people in Sarajevo, it's a little bit complex. To people who go into Sarajevo, I'm sorry for the spoiler alert in some way. So, being complex, do you have any questions? No? Too much to process? Please.
Was it in this siege that you fought also?
We'll talk about that later. Yes, I was doing that siege. Here.
25 years the war already finished.
So,
Why you 25 years already war was
about
finished?
28
yeah?
already, yes.
Yes, Croatia and Bosnia and Herzegovina, yeah. Two countries, they have the worst situation, you said. Why you have so bad economical situation in Croatia?
Because those two sides
is so super good, let's say, comparing with you.
No, but comparing to me is actually now a nationalist party in this country.
I mean comparing with your country.
The thing is, actually now two parts of this country and not working for this country, working for their own countries. Bosnian Croats and Bosnian Serbs, they're working for the Bosnia-Herzegovina, they're working for the motherland. Croatia and Serbia, we have national parties who actually split this country after the war. That is the fault of the United Nations. Wait for that. On the end of the tour, we're going to talk about why the situation is like this. What is not being made by the plan of the tour president militarily, they wanted to do that politically in that particular way. But it's the thing, so now political...
No, I'm trying to make a forecast what is waiting for Ukraine after we will win.
That is depend on the country. You are still divided kind of in two. We are here divided in three. That is the biggest
We are not divided.
I mean, you have a Russian population in Ukraine, so you need to
We
decide
don't
what
have
to
Russian
do.
population in Ukraine. Don't tell this, please.
How they call themselves Russian?
Do not live there.
I know, but actually
Everybody who wants to be in Russia already escaped there. All the people
I
left in
cannot say
Ukraine,
this.
they're Ukrainians.
Of course, I even the
But
same for my
Russia
country.
makes
The
them
people,
to do Russian passport. They don't want to do this, but they're not able
I
to
don't
escape
want to
Ukraine.
actually argue with anything, but I have a situation in my country, people who are
Yeah,
different
but
ethnicity
you're not-
living in my
You
country.
don't want what is the entity in Ukraine and to give them the wrong information to the
Okay,
people.
can I ask you a question? Is Ukraine a democratic country?
Yes.
Yes, it is. How actually the census of your country is saying that the populations are being poor? They are citizens of Ukraine. They are citizens of Ukraine, but they have their own ethnicity, and they need to be called in the democratic system as the ethnicity, and
Yeah.
needs to be given
There is
necessity to call themselves.
There is no problem. The Russian language was free. Nobody
No, but identity is
punished
based-
everybody about using Russian language in Ukraine. It's really
But
a
I'm really
problem
thinking
because
that they
nobody
need to
uses
talk.
Ukrainian.
Of course, but I think that they will need to use Ukrainian language.
Yes.
The same.
Yeah.
That is my thing.
Yeah.
But every identity and how you call yourself is based on your language, culture, religion,
Yeah.
and a history.
But a
So
lot of people using Russian, they think that they are Ukrainian. For them, it doesn't depend on the language. It depends on the country they are living.
of course, but
It's not about. You
I
told
just
it's
say
about
they are
identity. It's
Ukrainian
not about
citizen. I didn't say
identity.
that they are Russian. They are
This
Ukrainian
war
citizen.
is
But
not about identity. This war is Putin's imperialism.
I
as
really,
I
of
told
course,
you.
I don't want to enter go into politics, but actually we have a different definition about the actual democracy. Oh, really? We're going to go in this direction. It's the street. Croat armies have been stopped on this particular street, which meaning that 4 neighborhoods on this side of the river, very close to the street, remaining part of the territory taken by the army of the Bosnia-Herzegovina, saved, including the east bank of the river Neretva, with meaning one only bridge connecting those 2 sides, which is the old bridge. All the other ones have been destroyed by the Serb Yugoslav army, which meaning that everything necessary passing over the old bridge is passing to the also on the front line. Cars, trucks and tanks, no, but still military weapons, military personnel to defend the city, passing over the old bridge to go into the front line. So by the Croatian army, that is taken as a military target and as such destroyed. It also because of the morale of population of this town. Actually, old bridge for the Mostarians is not a part as architecture, it's a part of the family. So I will explain you this in a second. Minute from here, there's a park. We're going to sit down and I will explain you everything what is happening on this particular. Okay? Thank you. The plan, original for this town, which is, guys, if you want to sit down, make yourself comfortable on the table.
是这样的。